Hi, everybody. I'm honestly getting kind of sick of coming on here before what feels like every episode to talk about something sad. So you know what? I'm gonna let somebody else take this one.
Hey, this is D with two E's here. Recent stuff, that's happened, and I feel like it is like a responsibility, me to to come out and talk about this. Because we're talking about the Black Lives Matter, the whole George Floyd incident that transpired, and as a black man, I felt like I needed to come in and talk about this. Dan as well, but give his 2 cents, but just me. Since hey, I'm the black guy in the episode. I just want I guess it would have been weird for me not to be on this this pre-recording here, and I just want to say it is really tough just seeing the events that transpired. I mean, for years I've seen. You've heard and you've seen excessive force being used on people that look like me, or who have like a darker skin tone as I do, or a lighter skin tone. Like, it doesn't matter. Black is black, and seeing that pain and seeing unnecessary pain and struggle that my people have to go through. It's very sad, and it's unacceptable. When seeing that disturbing footage. I mean. First of all, the guy did. I mean, it was 100% their fault. They didn't have to do all that. I mean, first of all, the guy had, 3 guys as backup, so he didn't have to do that. And even then, if he did need to do some type of restraint, all he had to do was just, lower his knee towards his shoulder blade instead of having it on his neck. And it's not just like a racial thing. It's just a common sense thing. I know people are going to look at it, as like a racial thing, and yeah, it's appropriate, but I'm not just talking about a black-white thing. It is, but we're talking about just basic human rights. We're talking about common sense, and that's what the thing and that's the thing I've had to, come to grips with. Yeah, it's another black man losing his life when he didn't need to. In the hands of the police, and due to poor technique. Due to poor technique or bad practices, or just not caring. It's just the list goes on and on. I mean, you're talking about George Floyd. You can go back to Trayvon Martin. You can go back to. Think of all the times that happened. Think of Rodney King, and think of all the other times before we had camera phones. The stuff that we're able to capture now in the palms of our hands. Think of the stuff that we couldn't capture then. That's always been dirt that's been going on. I don't think it will fully ever go away. If there's racial and cultural differences, I think it's just one of those things. Just like with racism, I don't think will ever go away as long as there's differences. But I just want to live in a world where we do better and we become better. I don't like the idea of having to tell my kids in a few I'm gonna be in a mixed race marriage. So they're gonna have white and black in them, and it pains me to have to tell them the story, or tell them give them a heart to heart talk that's just the way it is, just because they got black in them, because that's something that I always grew up with, and it's well, why is this, Mom, or why is this, Dad? It's just cause you're black. That's just the way it is. I hate the whole "that's just the way it is" sort of thing, and that's the thing that's just not okay. But That's something that I've always grown up with, and I see to this, and see to this day. Like growing up as a kid, and then going on 31. I'm still seeing it as, it's just the way it is. The whole double standards, have to work twice as hard to have what my Caucasian counterpart has, or I have to make sure that I plan my trips accordingly to make sure I don't wind up lost in a strange neighborhood, because guess what? Like, I'm a prime target, even whether I ask for that or not. I mean, it just boggles my mind that, all this stuff, like, and I was talking to my brother about this, the stuff that Tupac and other rappers in the past, like, we're talking like the early 90s talking about this stuff. And now fast forward nearly 30 years later, we're still talking about this stuff. Like, it's a travesty that all this is still going on. The only difference is now we have visual evidence. We have quantifiable data that we can show, like, hey, this isn't right. But it sucks that, we have to have, like, that physical evidence just to show wrongdoing when it shouldn't exist. Like, as I mentioned before, it's not, it's a race thing, but we're also talking about just basic human rights. We're just talking about, like, that mayor was talking about, like, if that guy was white, we wouldn't even be talking about that. That guy's knee would not be on the back of his neck. It would not be. So I'm tired of double standards. I mean, I've grown up with it, and I've had to adapt to that and accept that. But I want a world someday where we don't have to accept it. That we have more equality and stuff. And for the people who are saying, like, all lives matter, that's true. But let's get this straight. Like, I know you're, like, a lot of people some people trying to be snarky about that. I mean, okay, yeah, whatever. You know who you are. The people who say all lives matter, I guess for, like, an equality thing. Okay, like, I get that. But if you look closer to this world right now, like kind of like a metaphor I use is, like, we're like that. This world is like that college class, and yes, black lives have always mattered. We just matter like 20% of the grade, while our Caucasian counterparts are like worth double that grade, so double that percentage. So it's not like all lives don't matter. They do. It's just the Caucasian part is mattering still much more than the black population. And that's where I want us to close that gap on. So when anybody who think that we're all trying to, get this, like the black community is trying to get this and get that, just stop and think for a moment. When we say Black Lives Matter, we're saying we matter just as much as any other racial or cultural population. We're not trying to get more than the other groups. We just want to be, like, even, or at least be close to that. We're not trying to take the whole pie. We just want a slice of what you have. We just want, like, a slice of pie, like an equal sized slice, like, as you have. We don't want more. We're just tired of taking less. We've always had to do with less, and that is the that's the ultimate sad part there. We've always had to do it with less, and when you see in, like, the riots and you see in, like, the protests, it's people who are getting sick and tired of selling for less. I mean, if you just have to think about it, like, put yourself in that person's shoes. Like, even if you try to mentally put yourself in that person's shoes of, like, a different race, you wouldn't truly be able to know what they feel or how they feel. Just like that episode of South Park, Kyle was saying he got what Token was could feel, but he didn't. So in the end of the episode, he said, "Hey, I get it. I don't get it. I'll never know how you feel. Like, it's a difficult spot. Like with my fiance, who is a white female, she'll never fully understand what it's like to be in my shoes. But at the same time, I won't know what it's like to be in her shoes. But the key thing is understanding, not shutting yourself out from the noise or from the takes and stuff. Doing your research, and if people are trying to say something, listen. Don't shut them out. Listen. That's how riots happen when people don't feel like you're listening to them. Because things get much worse when you don't sit down and have a talk about it, or even if someone just is like disagrees with you or something, like, you know, if it's race or politics or whatever. Like, sometimes it pays to just sit down and listen. And if you disagree, okay, hey, I hear you out. I respectfully disagree. That's what makes us people. We all have our differences. But being black, it's like in the Fresh Prince with Carlton, with he was accused of being a sellout. Being black is not what I'm trying to be. It's who I am. And it hurts me to see my people not being heard, being hurt, and then it going away. Like, it gets swept under the rug. Like a little riot would happen, or a little noise would happen, and then nobody speaks about it. That's why this whole COVID-19 stuff, while it's been really horrible and a curse, a sliver of it has been a blessing, because guess what? There's no other events happening to keep us distracted from talking about these tough conversations. And we have to have us people as a whole, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, European, whatever, male, female, whoever, we have to open ourselves up to having these tough conversations, because they're not going anywhere. If anything, they're becoming much more prevalent. We can't shield ourselves from truth. We have to make sure we open ourselves up to have these tough conversations so we can progress. Because if we don't have these conversations, we can't learn and understand history and make sure we take the necessary steps to not repeat history. Because if we don't learn from those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. And that's why I feel is what's happening time and time and time again. Now, don't get me wrong. With all the crazy stuff that's happening in America, in politics, with race, including the George Floyd incident, the Breonna Taylor incident, all that stuff, I still love America. I do. I love being American. But we have to do better. We are much better than where we used to be. Like, this ain't the 1960s, 1950s, 40s and stuff. Because if not, if it was during those times and during those customs, I wouldn't be in this same room right now talking to my buddy Dan here, and us being able to share this podcast with you all, doing this together. I wouldn't be marrying my future wife. So we are much better than where we used to be, but we still got a long ways to go. So I just leave you with this. Take away the race and the racial talks and all this stuff, the politics, whatever, and just going by just the golden rule. Treating people the way you should. Make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated. Would you want somebody to put their knee on the back of your neck? Or would you do that to somebody else? Or if you're doing that to somebody else, would you want them to do that back to you? No. Would you want to talk to somebody disrespectfully or hate on somebody just because they're different? Okay, if you did that, would you welcome that back? So just remember, strip all this stuff away and just let's all focus on, it's all about focusing on being a better person and replacing that hate with love. Who cares about the differences? There's always going to be differences. Like, I'm not going to be ignorant or naive. There's always going to be that ignorance and racism and prejudice, because I mean it's just how it's going to be, because we are a melting pot of a country, and this whole world is just full of like different people of different races and cultures, all of that. It's okay to not agree with like a certain culture or something, but what is not okay is to hate on a specific person or a group of people just because they're different. Because keep in mind, you're different compared to somebody else. So that's something just to keep in mind. But all I say is, my prayers go out to the George Floyd family, Breonna Taylor's family, and the people close to her, close to Floyd. It's tough. It's a tough conversation, but at the end of the day, we need to make sure their lives weren't lost in vain. We need to learn from this and make sure that we grow. How we defeat hate and prejudice is with love and acceptance and peace. You go ahead, Daniel.
I think you said it, buddy.
Man.
It's partly why I wanted to just kind of shut up and give you the floor for a little bit. I thank you for putting yourself through that, because that was not easy.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Also, practice your social distancing and wearing masks. I did this whole bit with wearing a mask.
This man is practicing radical love in multiple ways here. If you sat here and listened to all of this and felt maybe uncomfortable, like honestly I did a little bit, that's okay. That's a sign of growth. I hope we can all do better, because it's hard for me to see sometimes, but I hope we can. Take care. I love you all.
Take care. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all around the world, we bring you another ripping edition of the Dan vs. D Sports and Stuff podcast with the initials DVD, as in DVD player. I'm your player, D with 2 E's, and always in this with me, except this time not on my left or the right, but in a different building because of social distancing, my main man. His name is
Dan with an A-N.
Dan, the man he can. What's going on, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Yeah, this is I think our first telecommute episode in a long time.
In like a year and a half, maybe like 2 years.
Yeah.
Since Boston Borough out, that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. No, good point. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad though, thinking about it, I'm glad that we took the initiative to develop the capability before we had to.
Yeah.
Because that would suck to have to kind of reinvent all of this from whole cloth now, midstream.
Yes. And I think right now we're starting to shape it even more, because like last time we used Skype and it was hit or miss, but it made it work. But I think right now we're currently on Discord and we're trying out something new with this program. It seemed like it's doing okay right now. So
yeah,
we'll see how it works in the finished product. So.
And some trivia that is probably not in any way funny or interesting to anyone but me, but I am recording this through a microphone cable that I built myself.
Man, that's pretty dope, man. Like this, look at this guy. Have you been taking DIY lessons from Animal Crossing New Horizons again?
Yes. I've been hitting rocks in the backyard to get iron nuggets and crafting stuff, crafting electronics here.
Well, before you do that, like you have to like shake trees, for branches. I mean, like so you can create the flimsy stand first.
True. Yeah.
And then you shake a tree, and then you may or may not shake a wasp's nest off of it, and you get stung unless you run inside.
Yep.
So yeah, sorry guys, we're kind of nerding out on like the latest craze, like the latest like best like for COVID-19, the best video games for dealing with COVID-19, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Well, I was gonna say maybe before we get into it, that's one thing I've been doing to stay busy is building things. I've done several like DIY projects of like, building this cable and a few other things. And what have you been doing to stay busy?
Let's see. Doing chores around the house. Actually, sometimes, I guess, except for last Saturday, I've been working overtime, half days on Saturdays, which,
oh, wow.
don't feel like nothing really, compared to, my regular work days. So it's just like, 4 hours out of my day on a Saturday is, like, hey, I'll get paid, versus without, I get paid versus, sitting around doing nothing, wasting 4 hours on a Saturday, even though it's not a waste because you get to relax. So it's a double-edged sword, but overtime stuff or just working. Let's see. I've been cooking some, been doing some chores, spend time with my fiance. I don't know if people know, but I proposed 2 months ago. Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I don't think I don't think listeners have heard this yet. Yeah.
I know, right?
Congrats, buddy. Even though I've already told you that off mic.
Been playing video games. New Horizons. Been playing that. I've been playing 2K with me getting my ass whooped, on a consistent basis by my little nephew. even though I'm getting better though, because I actually bought the game for myself for $20, when it was on sale, and I was like, okay, now I can actually, somewhat get better and practice a little bit instead of just being going cold turkey and trying to go up against him and my older brother. So there's that. Let's see, playing Rocket League, getting to my backlog. I recently started back up my Final Fantasy VII, the original,
nice,
on PlayStation, and I'm still on disc 2, and I'm trying to finish that up. After I finish my when I conquered Mega Man X4 finally, is inspired me to want to go back to my games that's in my backlog and just go ahead and start knocking some of them out. Have some secondary games and then just pick a main game that I want to finish and knock those out. So, and been recently, looking up computer stuff. So yeah, man.
I've been going back and. I've been going
back.
That was
long-winded, but that's what I've been doing.
I've been going back and replaying just a lot of games I loved as a kid. Homeworld Cataclysm, which is a game about a space pandemic. So, kind of ironic that was on my mind. But it's a great game nonetheless. It's canon in the Homeworld universe.
Man.
And a little Mario 64 too.
Oh my gosh, man! I literally have an N64 beside me in a box, that I want to plug up into my TV and play, because I have WCW NWO Revenge, and I have No Mercy, WWF No Mercy.
Oh man!
and like my laptop has like I kind of create sort of like a little renaissance for my laptop. Like it's pretty much like a like ultimate like retro machine right now.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
No, okay, here's one, and then we'll move on. But I went back and found a game I played when I was probably like 4 years old called Treasure Mountain. And it's a like very, very basic edutainment game where like you're this guy and you're walking around on a mountain trapping elves in a net. And when you trap an elf, it asks you a question, and it's things like, which of these words begins with the letter D, and things like that. And and you like climb your way up to the mountain and find hidden treasure and stuff. And I mean, it's a DOS game from like 1990.
Oh my gosh.
And one of those things, I like went and downloaded DOSBox and like figured out how to like navigate to folders and run programs in a like emulated version of DOS. So that's been pretty fun. All right. We can probably we
don't digress enough.
Our video game podcast is overlapping our sports podcast.
Man, that'd be like our sister channel.
Yeah, right. Dan Vert. Now I can't think of a funny name for that. For the fact that the sports world has been largely sort of dormant, one of the stories of the century really broke not too long ago. A few weeks ago, I guess. I have a weird perception of time at this point, but it's official, dude. Tom Brady is gone. He is not the Patriots quarterback anymore.
Oh man,
and it's like, we talked about it last year a few different times about how just stale their offense looked and how really he didn't look that great at times. And so it's not like, I don't know, but it's still this feeling of just like, God, a mixture of like, oh man, we're screwed now. And also just like, it really has been 20 freaking years. And that just is a mind-boggling amount of time.
The way I like to see it is, it sucks, and as much as we wish like we have Brady for the rest of our rest of our lives, that's not the reality. And plus, he's what, 42 now? I mean, he's 42 years old now?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's arm is gonna give out eventually, man. Like, or if he keeps playing, he's like one bad hit away from like his career ending. So, I mean, if he can keep it up, then by all means do it. But you and me both knew that, this ride couldn't last forever. Like it never does. I mean, like, and I'm speaking on experience from the Chicago Bulls. Like, I was a Bulls fan because of Michael Jordan. And then when the Bulls just like melted after him and everybody left, after Michael and everybody left, like, I remember staying on the record and, I jumped off that bandwagon, like became a Raptors fan for a little bit, and then went back to liking the Bulls and vowed I would never desert like my quote unquote favorite teams ever again. And it's going to reign true for this one. New England is always going to be my team. Like I love this team before we were, the evil empire that everybody hated.
It's true.
Shout out to Tree for calling it the evil empire. Your name, Tree.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was one hell of a ride. We got to experience 20 years of competent quarterback play. Hit or miss with this past year, but 20 years of having competent quarterback play.
But definitely
teams would kill for that, man. Teams would kill for like 3 consecutive years of consistency. We had that for 20 great, awesome years. Had their ups and downs, but we were in the conversation of championship every year when Brady hit his stride.
Yep. And
that's something
It's-
special. Like,
it's a weird feeling of like, it sort of feels like, okay, now the Patriots are just another NFL team. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like his presence on that team just, you felt differently about it. Yeah, you just kind of felt like, and it wasn't that, oh, they win every year, because obviously they've had some high profile defeats in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, but it just sort of was like, you know, you always have a shot, no matter how kind of mediocre the rest of the team might be in a given year, you know.
And besides,
it's like, yeah, I can't think of, maybe it is like the equivalent of like being a Bulls fan in 1999, because like, yeah, it just kind of feels like, oh man, now we're just kind of back to normal. Maybe how Warriors fans felt this year. I don't know.
well, the Warriors will be back though, because they still have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry,
Right.
and Draymond Green. Like, I mean, we will be without our general. I mean, the only guy that's worth a damn, like, that's notable in the offense is Julian Edelman, and he's going to be 34 or 35 soon. So he's not too far from, you know, either leaving the team or retiring himself. So I mean, we are like in a transition. We are going to be in a rebuild, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun, but I will still be sitting here rooting for my Patriots, man. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like rooting for our Patriots. And
you know, maybe finally it'll like go back to normal and we can just be a normal NFL fan base again too. You know?
Yeah. We didn't win the championship every year and stuff, and that made me think about like what was it like? Think about episode 1. It was just like we didn't have to win every year, but like every year, the team was fun to watch. They were fun to watch.
Yep. And
Every year they were fun to watch. Even the 06 Patriots, they were like, how the hell is Brady doing this with Ben Watson as his go-to receiver? And how the heck are we still getting by with like guys like Rashae Caldwell and Jabbar Gaffney? Or like,
Yeah.
how the heck did they win a Super Bowl?
they were that close to winning a championship with that team, and that is,
I know, that's what made it
very
fun.
impressive.
Like collapse aside, which wasn't fun, but the fact is we have our memories to look back on. Like,
Yep.
we can look back on that team, and then we can look back on how in the hell did they win with Jermaine Wiggins, David Patton, and Deion Branch.
Yeah. Without too many spoilers, we're probably just going to do an entire episode on Brady at some point, because of that's how important it is to us. But that is neither here nor now. But yeah, and as far as Tom himself goes, I mean, I really don't. I don't know. I wish he'd stayed in a way, but you know, I don't wish him any ill will. I don't hope that he sucks on the Buccaneers or anything.
Nah,
You know?
true. I want him to actually elevate the Buccaneers. I would like to actually see the Bucks win something. You know.
I think it will be kind of, you know, Joe Montana on the Chiefs, and people forget, but he was good on those teams, and those teams were good. And I want to say, I think his first or second year there, they lost in like the AFC Championship game. So like they weren't a bad team while he was there for certain.
Or maybe he could be Brett Favre, except actually win the conference title game.
Brett Favre on the Vikings. Tee.
Brett on the Vikings. Were you sad? When you sad? Were you sad when you heard the news and when you saw it became official when he signed the contract and everything? Were you any sad or just indifferent about it?
I mean, you know, in this kind of very, very bizarre world we live in now, like it's hard to get super upset about something like that. But it was sort of like, I don't know, you know,
surreal.
Yes. So again, without stepping on that future topic too much, I literally became a football fan the year he became a starter. Just because like I had kind of gotten to the right age and started kind of following it on my own. And that was a thing that, as I've said before on the show, that was like a thing that my dad and I really bonded over. And so literally, like, I haven't known an NFL without Tom Brady in it. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's a bit of a strange feeling in that regard too, sort of like, almost like a symbolic ending of my childhood, even though that ended, a long time ago.
That's where we kind of differ, You said you start following football real good when Brady was our full-time starter. Like before, like I was there with Drew Bledsoe, as my full-time starter. I guess I didn't start following until later on in his career, but like Drew was my first quarterback. And it's a little bit, I guess it feels a little bit different because of like Brady was like he came after that, and like I guess it's like Drew Bledsoe was like the pioneer of Patriot quarterbacks to me, and then it's like Brady perfected it when he came in after, So it's like, yes, he was still my childhood, but like similar to yours. But my childhood, symbolically is represented by started out with Drew Bledsoe. So
at least for me, and this is, God, we're almost getting into like detox territory, but in a way it's sort of, at least for me, I kind of tend to view life as a series of moments and a series of sort of eras of things, and things are constantly changing. You may think of things as a constant, but, really everything has its own expiration date in a sense. And
birth, death, and taxes are the only thing that's guaranteed in this world.
And like I said, I wouldn't even say sad is the word I would use to describe it, but it's just sort of like, it's a reminder of the passage of time, I guess. I'm gonna turn into like Keith Olbermann or something here.
I guess I was sad by like the fact that he wasn't finishing off his career as a Patriot, but I've seen a lot of things, like a lot of sports teams, players, family members, and a lot of moments in my life come and go. So it was just like, to me, I'm like accustomed to seeing like a beginning and an end to things. He can't play this game forever, and it's just like, I'm just, I guess, just coming to grips to it. And I could tell like it was sort of like it was like the end of his tenure in New England when it comes to just appreciating just all the memories it left. That makes me feel less sad about it, because I can't remember any team except for maybe like the Lakers or the Boston Celtics back in like the 60s who could say or brag that their team was like in the championship picture or like were seen as like dominant for like 2 decades.
Right. Particularly in a sport where the rules are specifically set up to prevent that from happening.
Like, I mean, people repeating in the NFL, man. Like no one has repeated in the NFL except for New England.
Yeah.
In this last 2 decades, man.
Yeah. Well, let me see the
last team to repeat. Who was it? Was John Elway's Broncos?
Denver. Yeah. The let's see. The Packers got close, but John Elway stopped them. The Seahawks got close.
Oh, yeah.
But then they didn't run it with Lynch.
Dang. When you say Lynch, I'm thinking of Lynch from Home Movies.
Mr. Lynch. Yeah. No, David Lynch. Imagine a football game directed by David Lynch. But yeah, no, it really doesn't happen much. And, it's kind of cliche to be like, oh, you'll never see something like that again. But truth be told, you will. It's so rare now, even for really good coaches, to stay in one place for that long, right? And, great quarterbacks usually play most of their career for one team because, they're good enough to retain value.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea of like that partnership between, a great quarterback and a great coach,
Yeah, I guess they're both trying to prove that they can do it by themselves. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, right. And I mean, maybe that'll be Andy Reid and Mahomes, but it seems like, Reid is probably closer to retirement than you would think.
Like, I'm not sad. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just like, well, it had to end. And it's just like, as he was getting up in years, it's just like, okay, so it's gonna be time to let go. So it's kind of like you inching closer and closer and closer and closer, and it's like it's inevitable at that point. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's much easier to let it go versus, hey, Andrew Luck was comeback player of the year last year, and then next, you know what? Nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, dang.
Yeah, I almost wish, in a way, and that's just the part of me that likes cinematic moments, but I almost wish that it had ended with him nailing that throw to Gronk in the Super Bowl. But screw it, we got one more year, and like you were saying, the memories are worth something too.
Everything has a beginning, a beginning, a middle, and an end. But like what keeps me going in life, I guess it does sound detoxy to me. It's just the memories that it left behind. Like whether it's good or bad, memories somewhere in between. Like it all culminates into just like it all ends up just coming together as good times because I'm proud to have memories. Because, based off the background I would work at, shoot, man, memories are more valuable than gold. Like running into or taking care of people who have lost their memory, like they've lost parts of their crucial parts of their memories and all that. Like, that's what makes me like count my blessings of being like having the memories I have, like the people that I knew who are dead and gone. The memories that I create with you, the memories that I create with my fiance, the memories that I create with my little nephew who turned 16, which I feel really flipping old now. Once again, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. But all those memories right now, like even with this whole, COVID-19 stuff, like we're going to be looking back on this, and if we're blessed enough to survive this and whatnot, like we're going to have those memories of being like, well, that was a shit time, but in ways it brought us together or brought us closer together, or it helped us get creative in certain ways to stay connected with people, or it allowed us to learn more about ourselves and to build us up so we can press on forward and become better people. That's the thing I'm talking about in terms of memories. With the Patriots, it's like Brady is gone, but I can tell my kids, my grandkids, and if God wills it, or the universe wills it, or whatever, whoever you believe in wills it, I can tell my great grandkids. And that's what I feel right now. Like it's just I don't feel sad. I feel like dang. I feel like just damn. That's it. Yeah. But then I just feel more reflective. Yeah. Of like, wow, it was a great run.
Watched the greatest ever. Got to see him in person at least once. Ain't so bad.
Yes.
But yeah, good deal. Good luck, Tom.
Good luck, Tommy. I remember watching the XFL back in 2001, and I guess from what I had seen, I was entertained. It was too much wrestling in it, too many wrestling personalities in it and whatnot. So it was no wonder why they folded. But here with this year, with the new XFL, they put football guys in place. I mean, they had Andrew Luck's father be the commissioner and stuff. So they had football minds and football people in this business. And they spent more time trying to get people together and trying to get people to practice, getting more time, I guess, for the coaches, players and stuff. it was the football was much better quality than what I remembered, and I guess from the highlights I've seen, from years past of the first iteration of the XFL. And when I watched it, I was like, okay, it's not the NFL, but I don't want it to be the NFL. I don't like, it doesn't need to be better than the NFL. I was just flipping glad that we had football in the springtime, like, late winter, early spring. And it was really awesome. And it was great being able to see players who weren't really given an opportunity like in the NFL, or they were, but they never cut. And then you love seeing them display their talents. And then like some of the scouts would be like, oh man, maybe we were wrong about this guy. Like it was great seeing seeing guys I had never heard of, and all of a sudden they were like became new stars right before my eyes, like PJ Walker, and then my personal favorite Jordan Ta'amu, of course you're seeing your I guess your has-beens, quote unquote has-beens, or guys who used to play in the NFL who are trying to get back in the league, or old veterans or veterans that just want to play some more because they just love the game, and just seeing like a fresh slate of players just play. And seeing the new rules and all that stuff, especially seeing them like scattering like little ants, like in the new kickoff rule when they're like one's standing like on the 25 and one's standing like at the 30, and then once the ball is caught in play, then they just scatter, try to get the ball, tackle the player with the ball. That was fun, and it was. Like, it was fun. Like, it was great to have in the background. I mean, that's what I did with a lot of games in the background. But then there were some, like, real good gems and stuff. And, like, for what it was really fun. Like, it was more fun than the original XFL. And, like, I know I had missed, like, the last couple of weeks as I had been busy. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's all right. I'll keep watching. And then next, that's when the coronavirus like hit, and then just suspended, forced these leagues to suspend operations. But I was heartbroken when hearing about the XFL not only suspending operations, but just like closing,
straight up going bankrupt.
Yeah, and not going, and then not announcing any plans for 2021. And it was all because of the coronavirus, because I honestly think XFL had something. They definitely had something over the AAF. For crying out loud, St. Louis had hope. They had a team that they could be proud of, man. The Battlehawks, man, I wanted to get me a Battlehawks jersey. Like I wanted to print out an image of Jordan Ta'amu and put it in my cubicle at work. That's why I was like, I was being like a little bit of a fan. I was looking forward to the XFL every weekend. I was.
Yeah.
It's not at the level of the NFL, but it was just football, and it sucks that it's gone.
It's hard to say whether it would have caught on, ratings wise and become profitable, but it really seemed like they had learned from their mistakes, and they had said that under like normal circumstances that they had enough money to run the league for at least 2 years, which honestly I think that is enough time that if you're gonna catch on, you will during that time. But it's just, it's
they just had luck.
When something like that happens, that is a unprecedented historical event, you just kind of throw up your hands and go, I guess it's just not meant to be, like.
I really wanted the XFL to succeed because they really did put in a lot of work, and just for something out of their control to just straight up torpedo that into a million pieces, it fucking sucks. It's not fair, and it's just like they don't. Again, like I could care less if they be in a league for 2-3 years and then fold it. But the fact is, the goal is the goal is to make money. But are you entertained? Are you entertaining audiences? And I was entertained, and the fact that we won't never know how entertaining they could have been, or even being able to see the rematch and a championship game between the Houston Roughnecks versus the St. Louis Battlehawks, PJ Walker versus Jordan Ta'amu going at it, seeing who would be the MVP of the league, I will never know.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
It does.
Yeah. St. Louis, once again, doesn't have a football team anymore. Why is this world so cruel to St. Louis? All they want is a football team. They just want a football team they can believe in.
Given two high-profile failures in the last 2 years, do you think it'll be like 10, 20 years before somebody tries spring football again?
I don't think, based off the money and stuff, and based off those money they're losing, they were losing with the XFL when it was shut down, and based off the money the WWE has been losing lately, especially with the whole coronavirus stuff. I don't think Vince is going to open it up anymore. I think he's just going to focus on wrestling.
Oh no, Vince is done. But I mean, like, do you think anyone will try this anytime soon?
Yeah, there's always going to be a football league, but I can't see it right now. I know there will be people that will try and create a league, but I guess with all the stuff that's happened with the AAF, that botched everything, and then with the XFL, where they just lost due to terrible unfortunate circumstances, it's going to be a while till another football league opens up. I mean, look, the Arena Football League, like, I think last year.
That's
died.
right. Yeah, they folded after
a
while.
We only got this. So we got like the CFL. We got like, I think the indoor football league, I think, died. Like, they do have like another like arena league somewhere. Like, I know there's an arena league that exists because the Carolina Copperheads or something. No, the Carolina Cobras.
Yeah.
Yeah, that play in Greensboro. Yeah, that's a thing. But in terms of like on a massive scale, I can't see it. At least maybe not for another 10 years.
Yeah, I would say probably at least. I don't.
Because to me, businesses have already failed in like a short amount of time. I mean, we're talking what, like, within a year's time, 2 businesses have failed.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just.
And to the AAF, like, a month and some change too.
Yeah. It's just hard, man. It's hard it all hinges on if you can get audiences to buy in, because way more so than selling tickets, I mean, the money comes in from those TV deals. And if you can't get enough people to buy in to want to watch, then, you're just kind of SOL, and it doesn't really matter in the end.
And some people are never the same after that, man. Take a look at one of the guys that had their hand in the USFL. He's still bitter about that, with the whole, when he was like, bashing Cap and the owners and stuff, the NFL, and then the NFL was like, had a big FU to him. you know what I'm talking about, but I digress. I don't want to open up that can of worms too much.
I liked it better when the only thing Donald Trump had ruined was spring football.
I think they were trying to take on the NFL head on by trying to move it to the fall and try to get the TV deals from there instead of just focus on being the alternative. That's why I don't like about these leagues.
They flew too close to the sun.
Everybody, like, and like, I guess I'm going on this little tangent here. Everybody wants to take on the big dog. Everybody wants to be the man. I mean, yes, if you don't have that mentality, then you shouldn't be in the business. But
in business in general, honestly.
Yeah. but if to be a successful business, you just all you gotta do is just make a profit, right? To be a successful business.
Well, no, you have to sometimes, according to Wall Street, sometimes you are a failure even if you grew but didn't grow enough. So,
Okay. Yeah. but there's different scales of success.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I'm just being a pedantic asshole.
No, you're good, man. You're good. That's why I love you. But a perfect example TNA wrestling, when I watched them back in, I think 2002 or 2003.
Total nonstop action.
Yeah, they just go by Impact Wrestling now. But
I didn't know they still existed. Wow.
They still do. My point exactly, and here's why. They were the alternative to WWE. I wasn't looking for them I was gonna love my WWE regardless. But it was great seeing new guys I had never seen before. Like me being able to get acquainted with new stars on TV. That's how I discovered a little guy named the phenomenal AJ Styles, and he was the man in TNA. Now with them, they had this idea of they were doing TV tapings and all that stuff, and they had like a good following and stuff, but they're bringing in ex-WWE members and stuff. Okay, that's fine. But then they started going on live shows on Monday nights. Monday Night Raw was on Monday night.
Trying to take on Raw.
Yes, they're trying to do their own Monday Night Wars, and they got crushed every single week. They got crushed pretty much week in and week out to the point where they had to retreat back to Thursday nights. And I think they had never been the same since then, because they were trying to take on the big dog head on when they didn't have that money or that type of power. They should have just been the alternative. Even AJ Styles, who left TNA because they lowballed him because he paid his dues and he was like their John Cena, and they refused to pay him his worth. He said they just had all this, and when he was talking about AEW, he said they need to just work on being the alternative, because WWE has the money that probably that company will never have access to, and that's okay. I think companies get too caught up in trying to dethrone the big dog and then try to write a check that their tush can't cash.
Yeah.
And that's why I want these future like football leagues and sports leagues to just take note of, like, even if I had their humble beginnings, but focus on being a good and entertainment product without worrying about trying to take on or dethrone the big dog, because you'll get trampled when trying to jump into traffic. So
yeah, just because you're not the player in a given market doesn't mean that there isn't like some market there to be clawed out, but some of that I think is limitations of just a way of thinking that, focuses only on the idea of creating infinite growth. And so you conquer an obstacle, and then the next thing you want to do is hit the next obstacle, instead of going, hey, this is going well, let's keep managing this well. Every business that becomes wildly successful immediately branches out into other things, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you create, right? Yeah, that's how you create more growth. And then that's what, inevitably leads a lot of businesses to burn out, because you overstretch and you stretch beyond your means.
Like, these businesses now aren't even like the AAF and the XFL. They weren't even around long enough to branch out.
Yep. It's true.
Oh, so yeah, RIP XFL. Like, you'll have a place in my heart.
Yes.
Again. Big ups to Tommy Maddox.
Yes, Tommy Maddox, XFL MVP.
And good luck PJ Walker with the Panthers. And good luck Jordan Ta'amu wherever you are.
All right, D, we need to talk.
Oh, all right. Is this gonna be a detox, or is this gonna be like, let's talk and let's just like shred something?
I think
like
this
Limp Bizkit style.
I think we're gonna be bringing back What was your segment where you were going to be like mad at stuff? What was that called? And I made
the hit list.
The heat list.
This
is going to be the return of the heat list, but it will be for one item.
Ow! It's just so perplexing. I hate them. Gonna get eliminated in the first or second round every year. What were you smoking, or what gave you any ounce of a tip of an idea of it being a good idea? I hate them. I hate them. I hate them.
The heat list. So we need to talk about a gentleman named Bill O'Brien.
Oh boy, not again.
So the Texans fired their general manager Brian Gaine last year. So right around this time last year, a little more than a year ago, it was like January whatever of 2019.
It was whatever.
In essence, at that point, they basically didn't interview or bring in someone new. And so Bill O'Brien, a career coach who has no background whatsoever in making personnel decisions, became, in essence, the GM of the team. And it's been sort of perceived in the media that he kind of won a power struggle. Think about like the situation that led to Jim Harbaugh leaving the 49ers, or way back in the day, Bill Parcells leaving the Patriots because he wanted more control over personnel decisions.
That's why he left?
Yeah. The famous quote where he was like, if you're gonna cook the dinner, you'd think they'd let you shop for some of the groceries.
Oh, tuna.
That
puts a whole new meaning of tuna.
That whole thing where the story that he was gonna leave broke like right before the Super Bowl that year when the Patriots were in the Super Bowl with Bledsoe in '97. That's neither here nor there. So Bill O'Brien became the de facto GM of the Texans, and I'm be honest, this is like, I think we need about an equal level of incredulity to Nathan Peterman's run as a starting quarterback to Bill O'Brien's run as a general manager, because honestly, it's about the same level of competence.
Well, to be fair, Nathan Peterman was like was kind of like a comedy wrestler. Like there was entertainment value to him whenever he was out on the field. Bill O'Brien just sucks.
I mean, in a sense, there kind of is some entertainment value to this but probably more in the sense of like people who thought it was funny when Trump won kind of thing, where it's just like people who just enjoy watching things fall apart.
But Bill O'Brien is like he lost all entertainment quality to me. Like I'm not even like trying to laugh at him. I'm just like, I have like a metaphorical flaming pitchfork at hand right now from like the recent stuff the recent moves he made.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, like I'm trying to hold my rage.
So we covered some of this last time, but I like to always go back when we have a story like this and contextualize things because I think it helps.
Well, you like Wayne from Wayne's World?
Remember that Bill O'Brien traded 2 first-round draft picks for Laramie Tunsil, the offensive lineman, who really didn't actually do much to make Deshaun Watson's life easier this past year.
He took less hits, though, to be fair, I
mean,
guess.
he took fewer hits, but it was not...
2 first-round picks worth. Yeah, I give you that.
And yet, under his watch, the defense just completely fell apart and was so bad that they just couldn't even slow the Chiefs down.
Well, I mean, that's because, like, they're trying to put all their eggs in J.J. Watt of, like, think he's a player 5 years ago, but and, like, 3-4 severe injuries before that. And then, hey, the guy that they traded, like, when they traded for Laramie Tunsil, guess what? They unloaded freaking Clowney, which would have definitely helped them during that game. But
to be clear, that was not in the same trade. That was a separate trade where he just kind of dumped Clowney for basically like peanuts.
But why would you do that then if you weren't going to gain nothing?
Because let's be clear, he's a coach, and clearly a coach that values personalities. And so it behooves you to not have the coach be the same guy who's freaking negotiating contracts, right? Because I think we can understand that realistically that trade happened because Clowney wanted a new contract.
Okay, I get
and
that.
And so Bill
Like, I get
basically
that.
went, yeah, I just don't want to negotiate with this guy. You're gone. And so he just dumped the guy to get him off the team, which is not what a competent GM should do. So he's already made a mess of the roster. And then news comes down really right in the middle of this, the whole coronavirus thing. And it was, kind of funny because it was kind of nice to have like a normal football thing to be mad about for a few days. News comes down that Bill O'Brien traded DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the freaking NFL, to Arizona.
Of this decade.
To Arizona for David Johnson, who I admit I'm a David Johnson stan because he was on my fantasy team and I want to believe he's better than he is, but he really is kind of just a broken down shell at this point.
Yeah, I've been good in 3 years, man.
And a second round pick. And I can't even keep a straight face as I'm reading this. And a 2021 fourth rounder. That is the equivalent of a freaking like some used toilet paper and a pack of Big League Chew.
And here's the punch. Here's the follow up. The money that they could have used to because it wasn't a money issue. Like if it was, the money that they could have used to extend Hopkins and make sure he was a Texan, for the rest of his career, they took that money and spent it on Randall Cobb.
Yup.
And they're trying to make him the number one receiver.
Yep.
And it's fitting that we're talking about this on 420 because I'm pretty certain there's no sane person that would make that decision.
No, we are basically witnessing what would happen because I think we've all had either maybe that uncle or that family friend who always has bright ideas for what the local team should do, and it's always a little insane. We're basically witnessing what would happen if everyone's uncle became the general manager of an NFL team.
No more. Nobody's uncle's that stupid.
I mean, okay, we're witnessing what would happen if the guy at the bar with the red hot sports takes became the general manager of an NFL team.
We're talking about the guys, the Moneyball guys at that forum, in that Facebook group you used to be part of. That is what we're talking about. Those guys.
And it is breathtaking the amount of damage he has done. I honestly thought he had been the general manager for longer than that. It is breathtaking the amount of damage he's done to this team in basically just a year.
There's no future, and then there's no present.
Yes, yeah, they are.
How do you f that up so bad?
And
you're supposed to either rebuild. You're supposed to build, not tear down. Or if you're gonna go all in, you're supposed to have a competent team that can get it done. You're not even you're at this point now. You're probably not even a wild card team now. That's how much damage they have done by just getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins alone. They're probably not even a playoff team.
And
oh yeah, Brandon Cooks.
Yes. And then randomly he turned around and traded a second rounder for Brandon Cooks and a 2022 fourth rounder. So they now have some very kind of 2006 Patriots-esque receiving core of oft injured Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, who has had a number of concussions, Randall Cobb, who is a shell of himself, Kenny Stills, who is
DeAndre Carter, Kiki Kuti.
Kuti. Yeah, no, it's not good. And
that is horrible.
The level of squandering of the talent of Deshaun Watson is just that does piss me off. Like,
That does piss me off.
It's
and
funny
like,
up until the point that you realize one of the most fun players in the game is gonna basically have it's gonna be like a John Elway first half of career, except Elway actually got to play in the Super Bowl. Like, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a great player on a crap team for basically as long as he's there until he hopefully is smart enough to realize that he needs to leave in free agency. It's bad, dude.
I tell you, I want to say it's like, you know, if them trade DeAndre Hopkins away, it's like they have Michael Jordan on their team, they have a Scottie Pippen, and they just like, they get rid of Scottie Pippen before they can really hit their stride.
No. You know what it's like? It's like trading away Mookie Betts in his prime for peanuts because you don't want to pay him.
Yeah.
It's like that. Imagine if you had people in charge that were stupid enough to do that. Glad that never happened.
And I'll tell you, your sarcasm is over 9,000 right now. But this is like, they're gonna have a LeBron James situation on their hands. It's like they are like the Cleveland Cavaliers, where their other best player is their only decent player is like Daniel Gibson or Drew Gooden or Aaron Anderson Varejao.
God.
Like, that's it. Yeah, that's what the Texans are doing right now with Deshaun Watson. And he is going to f off to somewhere else, as he should, because they are not taking care of him. They are not taking care of the franchise. They're not even look like they want to win. I know you want to win, but you're not showing any type of competency of showing that you really do want to win. Because if you did want to win, you would keep at least your top two players intact. One of the best quarterback wide receiver duos, man. You think Belichick would get rid of like someone like that? He would if he's on the decline. DeAndre Hopkins was not on the decline at all.
Dude, this is what I mean. Is like, you know, because let's be clear, Bill O'Brien is from the Belichick tree. This is like such a cartoonish.
He ain't earned that right to be Belichick-like, man, and neither has Matt Patricia. None of them have earned it.
It is a cartoonish, and same thing, Matt Patricia has done some very kind of brain genius type stuff. I say that ironically, you know.
All the other coaches that were under Bill Belichick have become hacks. They have become hacks, and they have failed. So no one has earned the right to be Belichick-like until they show that they can prove themselves, man.
Well, it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of like what Bill does.
It shows insanity. That's what it shows.
Now, we don't know if it's true. There were rumors circulating that basically Bill didn't like DeAndre personally, and that's part of why, like, he, you know, whatever.
There's truth in between the two sides,
you know, and who knows if that's true or not, but I
don't look past him.
Again, it's that thing where he clearly went, I just don't want to like go through the thing of like negotiating with this guy and then have to coach him. So he's gone.
He treated him like he's Antonio Brown or something, man.
Yeah,
he did not do anything really to warrant being traded away, or like, you know, like, what is it, being compared to like in I guess in some way, like not having this meeting since like what, Aaron Hernandez or something, whatever they mentioned like that. But
right, yeah.
He never had character issues. He was a selfless guy,
and
he put up his numbers. And I'm telling you, they should have tried all they could to keep him on that team and to make him happy, because he performed as the best receiver, and he had guys like Tom Savage and they had guys like Tom Savage and three other Joe Schmoes throwing him the football before Deshaun Watson, and he was still a world beater at wide receiver.
There's also, by the way,
so don't give me that, Bill O'Brien.
There's been some reporting since then too that essentially because of the sheer, because again, it's just, even Belichick has like people that help him make personnel decisions. He doesn't do all of the scouting and all of the negotiating all himself. They have a system in place. He has people around him that he trusts. It's a friggin' like well-oiled machine. There has been some reporting that O'Brien, basically because you literally just don't have time to do both of these jobs at once, tends to like only really negotiate with like one team when he's trying to make a trade. And so apparently it sounds like didn't even really call around to like benchmark what he was being offered for Hopkins because, whatever, the guy was busy. I guess he was preparing for the draft or who the hell knows. But
the Vikings got a first round pick for Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
I don't want to hear it.
Yep. That's my point. That's why you need a real GM and not someone's uncle.
Even if you don't have time to do that said job, anybody having a brain should know that is not a good trade.
Yeah.
At least a first round pick. Shoot, I would at least say a late, even if it was a late first round pick. Okay, at least you got a first round pick, got some value.
You got something.
They got nothing, dude.
No, they got nothing. So I thought it'd be fun to do a flash forward of our later segment. I figured we could read some of these Bill O'Brien quotes in funny voices just to really double down on making fun of him. Honestly, this headline is funny. Texans O'Brien to unhappy fans, let the DeAndre Hopkins trade play out.
No. No.
Here we go. Go here. Go here. I'm going to highlight a paragraph and I want you to read this paragraph to me. Pick whatever voice you would like.
When you go back to Larry Tunsil, Kenny Stills trade, that was about 150, 200 phone calls. Steve Keem, you're talking about another 100 calls where you're talking about a lot of different things, including the health of DeAndre, not just David.
We feel very, very good to be able to get the 40th pick, being able to get David Johnson, O'Brien said. We feel really good about it when we looked at the analytics of it based on the production that was leaving the team, our team, and the production we are bringing in. I just want to zoom out for a second. I understand that, these guys give quotes to media and they just kind of, it's all throwaway content and nobody cares. But let's take that comment and let's just pick it apart for a minute.
It makes me think of that Billy Madison scene. That has got to be by far the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. That nothing that you said comes even close resembling an answer. Everybody is now stupider after all that. May God have mercy on your soul. I didn't quote it exactly, but I guess I was paraphrasing it, but he's like, a simple no would have sufficed, but okay.
So I'm sorry, but someone who uses the phrase, we looked at the analytics of it, doesn't know what the analytics is.
He hasn't even been doing analytics. So what the hell?
And based on the production that was leaving the team and the production we are bringing in.
So 100 to 5. Okay. 100 leaving, 5 coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
You could have did without that one. If he was writing a paper, you would be an editor and you would edit that line out.
Even if you're getting 2016 David Johnson, which honestly, I would put the chances of that right about
New Orleans.
I would put the same. I would give that about the same chance Bernie Sanders has of winning the 2020 presidential election as a write-in. So no, but even if you accept that premise, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the sport and how the sport values different positions. You can find production at running back.
You can.
And, as much as I, previously I railed against, the Mookie Betts trade and the sort of like endless march to like min-maxing everything to the sacrifice of everything else, including like your own sanity. But it is true, and I think it's just been borne out many times that in the NFL, running backs are not nearly as valuable as we thought they were growing up. You can find, and I mean, I think it's clear by what the Cardinals did last year. They found someone who produced better than David Johnson, like in a midseason trade.
Kenyon Drake.
So if you could go on the waiver wire and find like 70% of a guy that's making like 12 million, then why the hell aren't you doing that? That's a great player at receiver is head and shoulders more valuable than a great player at running back. It just is,
Unless you're the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry.
No, even in that case, honestly, like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is.
He was the offense.
No, Derrick Henry is amazing, and he damn near single-handedly got them to the Super Bowl. But
he did.
He is still a less valuable player than DeAndre Hopkins. He just is.
I know, but
and that has everything to do with the position that he plays.
But for a team that does not have like a DeAndre Hopkins archetype at wide receiver, then the value is more up for a running back. But yeah, in general in the market, the market is I guess at all time low. Is at all time low for running backs, which makes it interesting of how Zeke got all that money. But then again, Zeke he was killing it with the Cowboys.
And honestly, I mean, I think the Cowboys had no choice but to sign him, but I think it's arguable that even he's not worth that contract.
Man. Just
because of it's just the sport. You can find running back production, and you can, frankly, with a good coach, you can scheme running back production. So there just isn't nearly as much of an incentive to dump so much money and so much capital into that position, particularly trading a generational talent away. It's just, I think it goes without saying, it's an unconscionable decision. And I think our use of silly character voices reading his quotes are fully justified.
Man.
And here we go. Finish this one up. Give us this very last quote here, and then we'll move on from this depressing topic.
I think the best thing I could tell the fans is ... I think we need to let it all play out. Let it play out. Let it all play out. Whether it's that trade or anything else that we've done, let's review it a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Let's let it all play out.
I love that. I love that voice, first off, but also I just love a guy who says, no, you can't possibly evaluate my job performance now. You've got to wait a while. No guy who's trying to keep his job has ever said that, clearly.
Dude, coaches get axed in like 2 years, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes 1 year.
Especially as a coach. And frankly, also as a GM. Rightly or
especially
wrongly,
in the NFL,
you get judged based on. Don't wait. And I'm telling you, if the Texans don't win 12 games this year and play deep into the playoffs, it's going to be a failure. And I think
they're not going to do it.
And we know that's not going to happen because we're not, we don't believe in magic and pixie dust. So it's not going to happen.
No matter how much Deshaun has,
it's not going to happen. The trade is a failure. The end. I don't feel I need to let it all play. Same thing. I don't, like I said before, I don't care how, Alex Verdugo might be a 2-win player 3 years from now. I don't want to let it all play out. It's a bad fucking trade. The end.
I love my brothers so much. My older brother, who is a diehard Bears fan. Love him very much. But boy, is his team so incompetent finding a quality starting quarterback. They've had some misses and this and all that. I think this offseason really takes the cake. First of all, they miss on they whiff with Mitchell Trubisky. and everybody reminds them, like, all the media reminds them, well, you could have had Patrick Mahomes. They would have found a way to kill Patrick Mahomes too. So I don't even want to hear that I don't want to hear that as an excuse. Like, well, they could have had that. They would have still ruined them. So moving on with that. The off season, they're talking about, okay, well, they could get Cam Newton in a trade. They can get Cam in the off season. Everybody's saying you should be getting Cam Newton in the off season. That would help your team out immensely. It'll be better than what you have. But what did they do? They say no. They didn't want to take the bone that was being given by all the fans and from like the media. They were like, nope, we want this guy. And this guy they're talking about Nick flipping Foles, Big Dick Nick. They grew so enticed with his former Super Bowl MVP. He's not that guy.
Sure, it wasn't his manhood.
That too. But
sorry, I digress.
They went from making a mistake in a draft by drafting the wrong quarterback to trading for a bad contract to replace the screw up that they had that draft in the first place. So they covered up. So they covered up a botch with another move that was a botch. How incompetent can you be for the quarterback position? It is saying something when Jay Cutler is the best quarterback you've ever had. It's saying something. And they could have had Cam Newton.
If drafting Mitchell Trubisky was Carl Lewis trying to hit that high note, acquiring Nick Foles was them saying, all right, I'm going to make up for it now.
It makes up for nothing. They're going to be on the books for a bad contract that Jacksonville messed up on. And by the way, way to call it on that one. It was a terrible contract, and it was just not worth it.
Well, maybe you shouldn't freaking bid against yourself. No one else was offering him even close to that. And if, again, just like with O'Brien, if you even have a mild sense of the market, you realize you're the one with the leverage. Anyway, that's beside the point. I just wanted to hammer that nail a little bit.
Man, and I'm telling you, with that, they don't kind of like strap their team for cash because they got to pay Nick Foles that guaranteed money that the Jaguars are off the books of, and when they could have had Cam Newton at a discounted price.
Yep.
So why aren't they going out to him when they can get him on the cheap? Hell, Jameis Winston would be better. I know you don't like Jameis Winston, but I saw talent when I saw it because I have a soft spot for him because he was one of those primetime players that helped lead me to like my fantasy Super Bowl. But he was also the guy that lost me the Super Bowl. So either way, he's got the goods. He makes mistakes, but he's a much better player than Mitchell Trubisky. So why couldn't they just wait it on him? But no, they had to severely overtrade and overpay for a guy of like who has flamed out like multiple times. He flamed out with St. Louis, at that time. And he flamed out again. Well, he didn't really flame out, but they had a newer guy that they want to give the reins to, but he would fill in when he could, but he was who he was. That year when they won the Super Bowl, I mean, that was like, okay, he had like a little bit of Super Bowl magic, and plus the incompetence of the Patriots defense in that game, despite of like Brady having like 500 yards passing in that game, almost single-handedly winning us the game, but the defense single-handedly lost us the darn game. So take those parts into consideration. What has Nick Foles really done except, be a competent backup? And they're hyping him as their starting quarterback?
There was 27-2, I guess. But yeah, no, your point is well taken.
It doesn't make sense. Everybody and their mom was telling them get Cam Newton, and they didn't even entertain the idea. They might have, but definitely didn't put much thought into that. And that ticks me off right now. Because we were I guess I'm going on a tangent right here, but we would rather overpay for our Nick Foles and have two black quarterbacks, competent black quarterbacks, not have a market for them who are currently free agents? That doesn't make sense to me. One was a 5,000-yard rusher. One was a former league MVP, and who is leagues ahead of that former Super Bowl MVP. That was a fluke compared to what Cam Newton would bring.
I mean, agree to disagree on Jameis, but like, I do very much believe that Cam has something left, and it makes me feel like I'm the only one that sees it, because it makes no sense.
Even the Chargers said after losing Phillip Rivers, they having Tyrod Taylor, and I love Tyrod Taylor, but he is who he is. They're like, nah, we're good. Are you kidding me? Like,
I'm not kidding you.
Like, are you kidding me, San Diego? Are you killing me, LA Chargers? Y'all rather have Tyrod Taylor than Cam Newton?
No, I think we can I think we can make fun of them by calling them the San Diego Chargers right now, because they made a very San Diego kind of move.
I mean, but like, it's about the Bears, but it's just like, it's so infuriating because the two guys I mentioned, Winston and Cam, they are at least better than five guys who are currently slated as starters in the NFL.
Yep.
I think that. So for them to go ahead and say, yeah, we want to get that guy who was replaced by Gardner Minshew. We want that guy.
Yeah. And I mean,
and you traded for him. You didn't even wait for him to get cut or anything. You traded for him. You gave up assets to get him, as if he was like you getting Matt Stafford or somebody. And it's gonna blow up in their faces, man. We're talking about Bill O'Brien. It's gonna blow up in their faces, and then they're gonna be like, "Whoa, we didn't think it would blow up in our faces." No, of course you didn't think it would, because y'all don't think when it comes to the quarterback play. You don't think about the quarterback position. You whiff.
Well, by that same function, it's, I think it's what happens when, guys sort of feel like maybe their jobs are on the line, right? They kind of make panic moves like that.
But there were so many other moves they could have made than that, though. They could have made a more competent panic move.
It's true. I'm not disagreeing.
At least if they would have overpaid Cam Newton to get him to come over, at least they're luring him to them. And plus, he at least has still intangibles. He still has talent. But they did it for Nick Foles, man, who is a backup, maybe fringe starter, maybe fringe. Oh my gosh, my brain hurts. Sorry, go ahead. I need to dial it back because it makes my brain hurts and it makes me upset, as you could tell. And because I hurt for my brother, because I have been spoiled by seeing quality quarterback play for the last 20 years, and it seems like they barely have had 1 or 2 years of competent QB play, and one of those involved having Kyle Orton.
Oh, Kyle Orton.
Okay, I won't sell Color that short, but they just never got to the Super Bowl with him.
Oh yeah,
and they were saying he'll be great someday, but he never did. He was always hitting those first couple gears, but it seemed like he never hit that fourth gear. Seemed like he was always stuck on that second, third gear. Stuck on that third gear. He was good enough to be a decent starter, but he just didn't hit that extra level. That they wanted. That we were all waiting to see. That's Jay Cutler in a nutshell.
No, I genuinely think Jay Cutler didn't have the work ethic. Hot take. Hashtag hot take. I don't think Jay Cutler had the work ethic. Because of stuff like you hear anecdotes about, like he smoked all the time and things like that. It's like, yeah, if you're someone who is like a professional athlete trying to like take care of your body, you don't freaking smoke.
But what's your take on it? Like, as I kind of dial it back from my rage, what do you think about the whole Bears incident? Like the whole Bears situation right now? Is my stuff like hyperbole, or is my stuff fairly accurate? Or what's the things that you agree with or disagree with? Because I just feel went on this angry tangent.
I mean, if I'm a GM or a coach, I like I would not touch Jameis Winston personally. But again, whatever. We have divergent opinions on that.
He ain't that bad.
it's I mean
He's Nathan Peterman with the touchdowns.
he's football's equivalent of like a guy who hits home runs but like strikes out and plays terrible defense. You know what I mean? Like he is as a player, he's a one-trick pony. But anyway,
Javier Baez.
oh my god.
He can't take walks.
Oh my god. Good reference. Good reference. No, I don't know. I look at this from the context of like there are just so many dumb teams in the NFL that like it doesn't really surprise me. It's hard for me, and I don't have an emotional connection to the team either, so it's like hard for me to get super upset about it because I don't know. I've only ever known the Bears as a franchise that just continually makes head scratching decisions. And this just seems like another one, Yeah, no, it makes no sense to trade for that contract, to trade for it.
No,
I don't think Jacksonville, or I don't know, maybe Jacksonville would have got him. It didn't seem like a good idea just based on, kind of cutting your losses there, but who knows?
They would have had dead money too, yeah.
It sounds like they were planning to move ahead with Minshew as the starter. So I guess if you're doing that, if you follow their own freaking logic about how, the starter is going to be the highest paid guy to have the respect of his teammates, then yeah, I guess you do have to cut him. But yeah, I don't know. I just, it's certainly not smart. And, it's hard to tell. I will say this. I think it's hard to tell what Nick Foles might have been with the Jaguars because we saw it for like a quarter or two before he got hurt. So
he was actually decent. He was good in that quarter. That first series, he threw a touchdown, but then his collarbone went the way of Tony Romo.
There could conceivably be some competent NFL play there, but there's no way in hell it will be worth that contract. So that point is well taken.
Unless he wins them a Super Bowl, then he'll be a king in Chicago forever. But that's not. I don't think would ever happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. But that's the only way it would somewhat justify that move.
It would be
he would have to win the chip.
If the 2020 Bears win the Super Bowl, I'm saying it here. That is a more unlikely story than the 99 Rams. It's not going to happen. Which I still think that team is probably the most unlikely Super Bowl winner of all time.
You said the Rams were unlikely?
Yeah. The 98 Rams were like 4-12, dude.
Oh, you said 98. I said 99.
Well, that's what I mean. They were really just a moribund franchise for so long, and then just overnight. And then their starting quarterback tore his ACL like the week before the season started or whatever it was.
Trent Green.
And had a backup take over and became one of the greatest offenses of all time. I mean, that is about as out of nowhere as you can get.
Kurt Warner.
You know what I mean? In terms of like unlikeliness.
Shoot, they had their own. That was the Brady story before Brady.
I mean, the 0-1 Patriots certainly are on the list. Anyway, I'm just rambling now.
I love it, man.
Yeah, but
the Bears still suck, and they'll keep sucking until they figure out this Rubik's Cube of quarterback.
I was gonna
decisions.
make that joke earlier. Obviously, we should just cover the Bears every week and have the segment called "The Bears Still Suck."
I don't want to, just out of respect to my brother, and B, because I hurt for him, man.
Oh,
I hurt for him because they have a great defense and they're squandering the talents of Khalil Mack and those boys. Imagine being that defense and you do your job, you hold a team like 20 or 17 points or under, and y'all still find a way to lose. Imagine that, man.
It's not good.
No, it's not.
It's not good. the coronavirus became real for, like, in my opinion, the majority of Americans was that night when the NBA just suddenly shut down, very
Yeah.
kind of suddenly and scarily with Rudy Gobert testing positive for coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so obviously, particularly given that he was the guy that was so flippant about it leading up to that and was, you know, touching all the phones and the microphones and stuff and just generally being a freaking moron. But, you know, it's worth noting that he, since that point, has been remorseful and has said all the right things and has been like, yeah, I was a dumbass. And, you know, and I really, you know, kind of let everybody down by, you know, doing that. And, but one of his teammates, Donovan Mitchell, also tested positive, who, again, it's worth noting that they both seem to have recovered and made, you know, and are perfectly healthy, but still, you know, you never like to feel like one of your coworkers has maybe put your life in danger for the sake of basically a joke about a thing that shouldn't be joked about. And, you know, there was that thing where, what was it that Rudy said that they had talked and then kind of said some vague stuff about how, like, no relationship is perfect and this and that. And so, you know, obviously that sent all the hot take artists like, oh man, you know, are they going to be able to be teammates again after this and all of that? And it's like, it's really kind of impossible for us to tell as people that don't know them in real life, and who knows? You know, I suppose NBA teams have broken up over way less. I'm thinking of Shaq and Kobe here. But, you know, it's a real thing. And, you know, I mean, to juxtapose that with the just very, very sad news about Karl Anthony Towns' mom, you know, it's...
Yeah. May she rest in peace.
You know, it's a tough thing to, like, to have your reputation come back from, you know, like, and I don't know, man. I really think there's a scenario in which he ends up going somewhere else because of that. Because, I mean, you know, I mean, in life in general, like, everybody screws up. You know, this was a guy voluntarily choosing to screw up, but whatever, you know, it does show your character as a human being, how you handle having to show that remorse and how you handle walking in the door the next day and having to look everybody in the eye and be like, yeah, no, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see, but some people can't. And even if you do all the right things, it's not, no one owes you forgiveness. No one owes you, you know, liking you and being your best friend after something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. It's kind of wild. And I think, you know, a lot of people have had to sort of reconsider, you know, I mean, I don't want to name names or specifics here, but there was a person I know who engaged in what I felt like was very reckless behavior that I felt like potentially endangered me and my roommate and, like, everyone else that I come into contact with. And it really, really pissed me off. And, like, I lost a lot of respect for that person over that because I just felt like they were being reckless and not listening. And
yeah,
I don't know. I wonder, you know, sometimes, like, when this is, it seems even a fantasy to be like, when this is all over, because I think it's not a thing that's just going to suddenly end. But, you know, yeah, I mean, as we sort of in bits and pieces come out of this over the next few years, it's like, I think all of us are going to have to sort of reconsider our relationships to each other and, you know, sort of, I don't know, I sort of, with things like that, I almost file it under, you know, when someone tells you who they are, it's probably a good idea to listen.
Right.
Because, you know, I hate to say it, but at the same time, in crisis situations, that is also the quickest way to get to the core of someone's character. Is, how they react to things like that. And let's just say, and this is not a comment, this is just a general comment on society and on no one in particular, but I think we've learned a whole lot about people during this, both good and bad. We've seen, some incredible things and some incredible just selfishness and, people going and buying all the damn toilet paper for no reason and, shit like that. And it's funny, but it's also like what that shows you is that person is saying me first. Me. Me. I deserve all of this. And I don't care that someone else has less because I have more. And, that's, when you think about it, that's kind of a really ugly thought. And that's just, you see evidence of it every time you go to the freaking grocery store now, and it's impossible to ignore. And, I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit now, but I don't know. I think it's helpful to talk through some of this stuff as it's happening, because it's been a lot to digest in a short period of time. And, but like I said, I guess that's my central point is that, redemption is possible for everybody, I suppose. And, I'm sure that Rudy Gobert will have a long and productive NBA career when he comes back. And, the guy really seems to have learned his lesson. So, hopefully it's for the better going forward, because that's really all you can do when you screw up. You do your best to make amends and move on with your life, and don't just continually live in the moment, in that moment.
I hope they could coexist as teammates, but it just seems like the partnership between Rudy and Donovan Mitchell might come to an end like the following year when all this is done. I guess just from like the aftermath of the Rudy stuff. But again, he, as you said, like Rudy is remorseful, and he's gonna just do the best he can to just, I guess to come out better on this in the end, I guess, and just try to put this behind him. He was creating awareness of he was like kind of like the first face. He was like the face of the NBA of the coronavirus. So
no, and that's
which is weird, but it's just like, oh my gosh, it really got real. And Rudy Gobert's like name is always going to be like attached to like some kind of, to like that level of seriousness of like in like of this world history, man.
And I mean, and that was, you said it very well there. Like, America like needed to take this seriously like a month and a half earlier than it did. And so, you know what? Honestly, a big scary event kind of shocked everybody into action. And
yeah, because you were talking about this stuff like before Christmas, man.
I was.
I thought you were. Christmas or January, you were talking about this. He was like, yeah, there's stuff going on here in China, like over there.
Yeah, no, the news of like the Wuhan breakout broke in like mid-January. So like, no, it's absurd that people didn't take it more serious. But I mean, whatever, I think we were all in denial because
I was one of those people.
No, I mean, I was too, man. I was. And,
you was more in the know about it than I was. I was just like, okay. I was thinking like, whatever, man. But you was like, yeah, this could be something here, man. We need to be careful. And everybody's like, nah.
No, but think about even what that says, that I was aware it was going on, and, logic told me what was going to happen, and yet I still didn't want to believe it. Because it was just such a large, again, and I think everyone's had some version of this reaction, over the time of this crisis. Like, where you almost can't believe it because it's just so big and touches, it's rare. Rare is the time where a large, historical event happens that truly does change the way literally everyone lives all at once. And that's pretty absurd because, felt like the world stood still like on the day of 9/11, but for the most part, everybody more or less went back to work like the next day, and that was part of the recovery, was trying to sort of feel normal again, as I'm sure the recovery from this will be eventually, whenever that is.
Because that's what I remember. Like, they took a break. They took like a week off from football.
Yeah.
To help people and stuff, and to help people to do their part, be there for people during their time of need and all that. And then the following week, it was something so empowering about them, like we saw guys like Teddy Bruschi sprinting sprinting up the field carrying the American flag, or seeing football players coming out, we're getting ready to play, and it was kind of like representing that patriotism we had. It's like nothing is going to stop us or keep us down. We are going to remember and remember these losses and respect the people that we lost, and we're gonna go on, and we are going to show them, hey, we're not going to be defeated. And we went on and we showed our pride by going back to playing football, and people rejoiced. They remembered. They remember the events, but but as a way to heal, they rejoiced and enjoyed some football, man. We don't have that now. We all dying to see sports, but we don't have that opportunity to, say, well, let's press on and let's offer an escape, or offer some sports as a way of healing and getting through when we can't even do it because of how dangerous everything is right now.
Briefly take a second and watch this video. I know you won't have sound, but just honestly watch the crowd. This is the first game played in New York after 9/11. This is in Shea. This is an old Shea Stadium, and it's Mike Piazza.
Lopez wants it away, and it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2.
It gave him something to believe in, man. Hate that it came off of Bobby Cox and off the Braves, but hey, people need something to celebrate and to believe in, man. That we believe, yeah. That kid or whoever that person was holding that sign, yeah, that says it all.
I come back to this video sometimes because I don't know, it's a tough thing to put into words, but at least in my mind, what this means is, that's not a sort of mindless moment of American jingoism to me. It's people gathering and kind of all at the same time being happy to be alive, and taking joy in life and in everyday life. It's a game. It's a bunch of people watching a game and just being happy that a man made a baseball fly out of a stadium. But people saying here we are, we're alive, and that feels good.
It does. It's been a lovely evening of doing this podcast today in ISOVision, isolation.
I like that.
So this has been really cool. I was questioning or wondering how this would work, but I think it's worked out, pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun, and as always, hope everybody is staying safe and sane, and hope that maybe we've been a little bit of a part of helping keep you sane. And Hope you've gotten a good chuckle and some good entertainment out of this one. Hope y'all are staying safe out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's key phrase. Just stay safe, because please practice solid judgment, and do the best, and just do the best you can, and try to keep you and everyone else safe, and just remember that all this is just temporary, and we'll get back to some form of normalcy sooner than we think, but it's just gonna take time. So just being patient and just doing the best you can to press on and move forward.
The only constant in life is change. This too shall pass.
No doubt. What about your line with such significant new meaning now?
Oh, well, yeah. Now I keep forgetting about that. Yes, I wish I could hug you all, but I'm not gonna. Not yet.
But someday he will, and we all will.
Yes, I miss hugs, damn it. I really do.
Man, you'll get your hugs back, man.
Oh, we will. We all will.
We'll, all right. It's been D with 2 E's.
It's been Dan with an AN.
And we bid you adieu, and we just say, hey, peace to everybody, good night, and until next time, have and enjoy your lives.
Agree. Good night, everybody. Peace.
Good night. Peace. Put it in a fucking time capsule and then be like 2050.
Oh, God.
And you just play it.
Yeah.
It's like, Daddy, what the heck were you doing then? Like,
Well, you see, son,
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
back in the day, there was this thing called the internet. And it was the source of basically all of our entertainment. It's kind of funny, right, that I feel like that whole thing ended up kind of toothless, because I was like, oh, I'm never going to watch baseball again. I'm just not a fan anymore. And then there just is no baseball now. So it's just like, whatever, man. You
got your wish? Question mark?
I guess. Except, obviously not like that.
Nah, not like that.
Boyd. I typed Boyd, but make an error.
Boyd.
Okay.
Boyd McNair.
Scratch that, rewind. Oh my God, it was. This is DVD 420 edition.
Dude, where you been? I mentioned that like a couple hours ago.
I think you did, and I forgot. Oh my God, blaze it.
It's 4/20/2020.
Damn, yeah, I'm at like 350. I'm at 316. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Like 316?
Yes.
Yeah. 360 Xbox.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve. Stone Cold 360. That's if he. I didn't think that was that funny.
Stone Cold 360.
That's if he took over for Tony Hawk.
For Bill Gates.
It's gonna be that'll be the new skateboarding game. It'll be Stone Cold 360.